Thursday in the Holy Week series, All Shall Be Well. We follow the journey of Jesus through his passion, his death and resurrection, drawing upon the writings of 14th century mystic Julian of Norwich. Maundy Thursday has many powerful moments for Jesus and his disciples. The Last Supper, Jesus washing the disciples' feet, Jesus praying in Gethsemane, Judas's betrayal and Jesus' arrest. In this meditation, we focus on Jesus praying in the garden and draw upon some further words of Julian on prayer, and particularly on prayer where nothing seems to be happening. Jesus in the garden. When Jesus is praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, there is clearly something extremely powerful going on within him. He prays, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not what I want, but what you want." We sense the inner tension within Jesus, the urge to avoid what lies ahead, the desire to do the will of the Father. The sheer loneliness of his position is sharpened by the sense of distance between him and the disciples that he'd brought to be with him as he prayed. They fall asleep as he agonizes. They fail to support him in this agony. So only we are witnesses as we hear the story of his wholehearted, in fact whole-bodied praying. As the Gospel says, going a little further, he threw himself on the ground and prayed. Julian writes of wholehearted prayer and of the experience of isolation in it, of not having any sense of response to prayer. In her writings, she talks of hearing these words from God. Pray wholeheartedly, though you may feel nothing, though you may see nothing. Yes, though you think that you could not, for in dryness and barrenness, in sickness and in weakness, then is your prayer most pleasing to me, though you think it almost tasteless to you. And so is all your living prayer in my sight. These words invite us to see prayer from God the Father's point of view. How God experiences our wholehearted prayer, even if it gets to the point where we feel like giving up. We might ponder the heart of God the Father present to Jesus in his prayer. As Jesus expresses his sense of weakness, sickness, barrenness, as he throws himself to the ground in the garden. How is God the Father with him? As we ponder this picture, can we glimpse God's heart aligned with Jesus' heart as he prays in the garden? 3 times in Matthew's account we see Jesus in this agonizing prayer, desiring the will of the Father. It is only after the 3rd time that resolution comes. Only then does he come to the point of acceptance, of knowing, of choosing to act, to follow the lead of the will of the Father. What deep inner love was exchanged between God the Father and Jesus at this point, as their wills come into agreement, come into alignment. Julian writes, I realize now that God is worshipped and delighted when we simply turn to God, trusting totally in that unity and clinging to divine grace. This attitude reveals a deeper understanding of God and creates in us an unshakable love. Far more than any method of prayer our minds could contrive. Even if we were to practice all the prayer techniques ever used, they would never be enough to connect our souls to God with utter wholeness and fullness. For God's goodness is the entire whole of reality, a reality that lacks absolutely nothing. By focusing our attention here on the absolute unity that never fails, we achieve the truest form of prayer. Jesus, praying in Gethsemane, powerfully reveals what Julian describes here as the truest form of prayer. It is not a method, it is utterly wholehearted, whole-bodied in expressing desire, in expressing a desire that is met by a bigger desire and that draws the two together into fulfillment. A divine grace, an unshakable love at the point of the deepest testing, at the point of choosing to let go of one's own control over life. So, some points for reflection and prayer. You may want to focus on Jesus praying in the garden. Let your attention linger on his wholeheartedness and to seek to sense the heart of the Father for him. You may wish to focus on your own wholeheartedness and whole-bodiedness in your prayer. Do you notice a desire within you to bring more of yourself into your praying? Can you notice where you may be holding back from that? Simply ask God to help you in this. You may reflect on your own experience of dryness and absence of satisfaction in prayer. What helps you remain focused on seeking God in these times? Can you hear God saying to you, "Your prayer is most pleasing to me, though you think it almost tasteless to you"? Tomorrow on Good Friday, we look at the cross and the question Julian raises in the face of suffering. Why does it have to be this way?